What's going on, Team XK? I wanted to do a quick update here on the total cryptocurrency market cap. We're going to break it down here. Currently, we are looking at the 2-hour time frame. We're testing some minor levels of resistance. I really want to pull this thing out. Let's start actually on the higher time frames, and then we'll work our way down. But first thing really wanted to point out is these highlighted areas are the weekends. A lot of the past weekends have been quite sideways, right? We haven't seen really that big of movements, but seeing as we did have some nice liquidation move happen, we have more volatility in the markets and we're approaching that new all-time high. So I would be anticipating bigger moves to be continuing to happen, bigger swings as this process goes on here. Let's go out to the weekly. We'll go in from there. So looking at the weekly time frame, you can see we have had quite a string of bullish weeks. Right? We've actually had 42 days roughly of a bullish trend here right off of these lows. Right, that weekly support really coming in clutch and holding that support right there. All right, we ended up getting in some long positions and then taking profits last week on a lot of the cryptos. We're seeing one bearish week here. I do like the fact that this week has closed above. Well, this week hasn't technically over yet, but as of right now, if it does, that would be good. That we do see a closed above. Oh, let's take this off. The weekly support here, which is the big thick line. So we got the weekly support, right? So let me delete or hide these candles real quick so you can see better where the wick is. All right, so we had a test of this daily, but we are closing this week above this weekly support, right? This was a very strong resistance, a weekly resistance. We finally broke out of that, came back up to test that 12-hour, getting really close to the next level, right, which would be the new all-time highs. And we're getting a weekly close above here, which is a very bullish sign, right? Very weak sign here, but we have to still remain a little cautious. We'll see it really this weekend and in the beginning of the week, we'll be able to identify, what the market's done. I'm going to lay out a couple options of what I think could happen and what I would be looking to do in each scenario if the markets went this way or that way. So right now, looking very bullish though on the weekly, right? Very quick liquidation, weekly support holding. Um, Next week will open up soon and then we'll see if that if some of these resistance hold or if they continue to be broken. You can see here though back, there's not a lot of times where we see a big move down like this example, right? Back in 2021, back in February here. All right, had one big bearish week, weekly support held, right? And then we seen a follow up to create some new all-time highs and then the final run up here. So maybe are we seeing something similar? Potentially. I think more of the worst case scenarios is we do have one more bearish week. We could be testing this weekly support for sure at some point next week. And then, right, if we do break below that, we could be seeing a bigger drop back down to test these lows here and close out next week also bearish. Again, that would be really a prime time to be buying in. We'd be testing a pretty key level support. 2 weeks bearishness is pretty much, I think, the most we're going to see back, a pullback. Most, I mean, 3, but then the market's in this situation right now, the way things are lining up. I don't see 3 weeks being bearish, maybe 2 tops, and then be looking to buy that bottom. Let's go down to some of these smaller time frames here. 4-hour time frame. You can see here the 4-hour 200 MA is acting as our dynamic level of support. So technically speaking, as long as we remain trading above the 4-hour 200 MA on the 4-hour time frame, so each 4-hour candlestick closes above the 4-hour 200 MA, the shorter term trend remains bullish. So that's kind of what we're going to be waiting for, right? If we start trading below this, then that's when I would anticipate, the weekly candlestick probably next week then to close bearish. But as of right now, that it continues to hold. So we are in a little bit of consolidation phase here. Again, testing that 4-hour resistance. And you can see, right, we were in this giant bullish channel, right? We had several weekends here throughout the time, and all these weekends, right, we came up towards the top of this channel. We've seen a sell off in the week, right? We came to the top of this channel, and then the weekend, right, we've seen that little push up, and then we've seen the fall. Same thing happened here, right? Consolidation of the weekend. Towards the end of the weekend, we've seen the push up a little further to the top of this bullish channel, and then we've seen the fall. And now this is really the key point, right? That 4-hour resistance at 2.178 trillion is a key level that we'll be watching, right? If we see a break above this, a nice 4-hour candlestick close above, then we should be anticipating a newer high to be created, right? Another stair step formation to the upside, potentially in the next 2 weeks that would play out. Yeah, so that's the huge thing, right? We just got to be watching that, because that currently, right, that's the breakout of the bullish channel, a retest of that, and now we could potentially stair step down to get some new lows here. We'll see how this continues to play out. Last thing I want to point out is I'd like to look at the 3-minute time frame. I really like to look at this one for cryptos. When I'm really looking for prime entries, is looking at the 3-minute time frame here on the total crypto market cap, because I do tend to see that this 200 MA on the 3-minute is pretty well respected, right? You can see here as we broke through the 3-minute 200 MA, right? We had the initial break, then we come up and we retest it. That still acted as our dynamic level of resistance. So then we've seen another fall here, creating a newer low. And it's the same case here, right? We came up, we breached it a little bit on the 3-minute 200 MA, but not too much. And then that acted as a level of resistance, and then we made it and created a new low. And this is the first time, right, that we're actually coming back and testing that, right? We've seen it test that daily support, and now we're seeing it stair step to the upside. And I do like to kind of use the 3-minute 200 MA as a guide here. If we start trading below the 3-minute 200 MA, that's when I would go up to a 20-minute, right? And right now we're actually trading below the 20-minute 200 MA. So that's going to be, again, that level of resistance here. So 3-minute, we have early indications that we could potentially be trending to the upside. But also note, this is the weekend. We could just be in consolidation phase until we get towards the end of the weekend, where we actually see a move. So wouldn't be anticipating any volatility, no big moves today. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I think the likelihood of some aggressive move happening today is not very high. If there's any questions about this, hopefully this was insightful. I'm going to do these more and more often to give you guys quicker updates on the markets as they're moving on. And we got some exciting things coming. So this is going to be it for the update here on the